Hey, welcome to the new LEGO room. I am going to have to do a tour of this at some point, but for now we have this ominous empty space over my shoulder that I am going to fill with a bookcase, but it's not ready just yet, so hopefully in the next video or two, but for now, try not to get too distracted by this. So today we are going to be reviewing set 76295, the Avengers Helicarrier, a midi-scale helicarrier set that came out earlier this month. This was a set that I was particularly excited for, so let's see if it lives up to what I was hoping. Unfortunately, starting with the building experience as always, I can't really beat around the bush. This might be the very worst LEGO set that I have ever built. The Helicarrier is generally very wide and flat, which obviously isn't LEGO's fault per se, but it isn't built up in sections, it's rather built up in layers. This means that there are a number of points in the build where you are flipping something around to get to the opposite side of the ship and end up leveraging some piece or other off on accident. I repeatedly had to go across the desk or occasionally onto the floor to get a piece that had dropped just handling the set while I was building it. Obviously, this instability is at its worst while you're building the set, but it's not really resolved by the time that you finish it. The engine rotors are connected absolutely minimally, which means that they pop themselves off seemingly at will, and the engines on the back are connected poorly as well, and I actually popped off a submodel there that, as of filming, I still haven't been able to relocate. This build also features what experts might describe as substantially too many stickers. Because the MIDI scale is absolutely tiny, most of the intricate detail on the set is actually stickered on as opposed to built out of bricks. And let me tell you, lining up more than a dozen runway marking stickers across 3x3 grids of tiles was miserable. Ultimately, the end result of this is that the build experience is frustrating, and because things are constantly popping off, also ongoing. It is very rare that I finish building a LEGO set more stressed than when I started. In fact, I don't think I can think of a single time other than this one. This has set my bar for bad building experience. 0 out of 10. While I personally would have really liked to see minifigures in this set, at least maybe Nick Fury or Maria Hill or Phil Coulson or, all three of them to put on the display base, there aren't any in this set. So, like the Tranquil Garden, I'm going to go ahead and not count that for or against this set. NA out of 10. Speeding along to play inspiration, the set does fit in the palm of your hand, which means that it's technically swooshable, although the Helicarrier isn't exactly known for its daring aerial maneuvers. I will acknowledge that I have picked it up and flown it around quoting lines from the first Avengers film, like, "Is the sun coming up? Yes, sir. Then put it on our left." I realize that that is the world's worst Samuel L. Jackson impression, but look at me and tell me that you thought I was going to get any closer than that. Of course, the aforementioned fragility often ends this party early, RIP missing thruster, and then whatever score this set would have been able to earn kind of gets cut in half when you realize, well, I'm just gonna let my partner handle this one.
The propellers don't spin! Why don't they spin? That's not okay.
Yeah, it's a touch disappointing. At a price point of $80 US and falling apart in your hands and missing critical spinny bits, this is at best a 4 out of 10. Almost everything that this set brings to the table, it brings in our final metric, display value, which, honestly, as a display piece, this set is fine. I will go out of my way to acknowledge that this set does fit on shelves significantly more easily than the previous micro-scale Helicarrier did, which I do appreciate considering how much of a pain it is to move that other model. And this silhouette is instantly recognizable even at this small scale and even across the room. Unfortunately, the overwhelming majority of the detail on the set is tiny and sticker-based, which means that on a shelf you're not going to be able to see it, especially if you place this high enough up that someone's going to be looking at it from underneath or dead on. You really need to have a top-down perspective for this model to look any level of impressive. The display value is also hampered a little bit by tiny colored pieces that are inexplicable to me. Neon yellow parts used for interior construction are visible from certain angles and obviously draw your eye because it's high visibility vest yellow. And then, getting to what is probably my single biggest complaint about the entire set, the entire flight stand display base is constructed out of black parts, except for 2 snot bricks used to do a tiny bit of detailing at the base of the stem, which are in light gray. These not only are not covered and stick out like a sore thumb once you've noticed them, but they're a piece that's available in black already. Why is this piece not in black? This would look perfectly fine, probably even look good if it were just colored such that it matches. But it sticks out, especially when I put this on my furniture, which is obviously almost all black, and the entire stand disappears into the furniture except for these 2 pieces. I realize that this is a nitpick, but at the same time, there's literally no conceivable reason for this to be the case. For me, this set is kind of textbook underwhelming, but not technically bad as far as display goes. I'm not gonna give it a bad score, but I'm really not gonna praise it either. I think that a 5 out of 10 is more than fair on my part. As a more intense LEGO Marvel collector with several years under my belt, I do think it's worth noting how awesome the forced perspective aesthetic you can get when you put this set side by side with the previous much larger Helicarrier is, but I think that I would kind of be a grade A jerk if I suggested that you go out and get a $500 retired set trying to make an $80 current one look good. Overall, this set only earns a 3 out of 10 from me. I do think that if you were to replace these stickered pieces with printed ones and maybe add spinning capability and stability to the rotors in the wings, this set would be substantially higher. In fact, probably one of the best value for money Marvel sets that we've ever had. With just a slightly friendlier building experience, the fragility and other general flaws would feel significantly less impactful because this is a display piece. Lots of display sets are slightly more on the fragile side. As long as they look good and come together satisfyingly, I don't actually terribly mind that. Ultimately, a flurry of tiny flaws is enough to cut this set down significantly in my eyes. I'm not going to say that it's a bad set or that you shouldn't buy it. It will look okay on your shelf, or potentially even look really good if you don't have a ton of other LEGO around to compare it to. However, I will say that out of the current wave of Marvel sets, this is the one that I am regretting purchasing the most. The upside to that is that it means that there's not a ton of places we can go from here but up, so if you want to see an absolutely glowing review and potentially have me convince you to buy a set because I am going to sing its praises that hard, go ahead and like and subscribe because the next review is for something that absolutely blew my mind in a good way. Now, real fast before I see us out, let's go ahead and take a look at what Glamour, Ash, and I were able to squeeze out of this thing. That about wraps us up. As always, I want to go ahead and thank my Patreons. I am working on something to give back just a little bit more, but for the time being, if you're interested in getting things like instructions for mocks that I post on the channel, go ahead and head over there. Those kinds of things are available. Link will be in the description below. Likes, comments, and subscribes are greatly appreciated. We're really close to 500 subscribers, which is absolutely huge and kind of mind-blowing. I'm incredibly grateful for y'all, and being able to do this with any level of success just feels like I'm living in a dream. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. There's literally no conceptual reason for this to be the case.